everyone, welcome to our live podcast. This video is going to be the highlights of all the episodes we had this season. Please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube YWAM Wooster YouTube channel and also share the podcast on your social media. We hope you enjoy it. Stay tuned for season 2 that's coming soon. There is some people are writing here that you should talk about Namibia.
Okay, I have another.
Yes, Namibia.
The desert.
The desert.
Okay, so
I don't know which one's funny.
Okay,
Legendary.
so I got lost in the desert. For those that don't know, so everyone in the comments like literally. So I've been to I visited
Shout out to Matt.
Namibia 3 times. Shout out Mateus.
Shout out Mateus. Woo.
3 times I visited Namibia on 3 different occasions and literally went all over Namibia. And then we went to Swakopmund, I think it's called, and a lot of people don't know that, but Namibia is one of the places in the world. I don't think it's the only place where there's a desert and a sea right next to each other.
It's
So
gorgeous.
Wow.
Gorgeous.
dope. So
I've flown over that. I've seen that. Yeah.
that's dope because
Yeah.
desert, no water, dry, and then ocean wet,
Abundance.
You know,
Yeah.
super wet. So anyway, we stayed with this farming couple that had creche, children's school there for the kids from the different, how could I say, surrounding areas.
Nice.
But it wasn't really active because it's in the desert.
Yeah.
Right? So,
Yeah.
And so we just thought we're just gonna take this week off and just regroup as a team. And man, it's so crazy because in the day it's really hot, but at night it's so cold in the desert. I didn't know that. I had no idea. so this day I'm like, you know what? I need time alone. I need to go pray. I need to go just do my thing. I'm gonna climb to the dunes. Now, when you see the dunes, it looks close, but it's so far. And there was cattle and goats walking around.
Roaming around.
Yeah, and some trees. So I thought, I'm just gonna walk straight to the trees, and then I'm gonna, then I'll be there at the dunes. So I walk straight to the trees. That's already 45 minutes, and I drink all my water, and I'm I'm done. And then my battery dies. I'm like, oh my gosh. But I've walked 45 minutes. I'm not gonna go back. I have to. And the dune looks so close, and I get past where there's trees, and then it's just sand, just sand.
Dylan.
I walk,
Oh my gosh.
and then I realize, because from far you don't see it, but I walk, and then it's the sand goes down, and it's just like this, and it's just a bunch of sand, up and down, mini hills, and then there's the dune that I want to get to. And I was like, am I going to do this? Yes. And I just go for it, and I run, and there's no one inside, there's no animal, there's no birds inside. And I just run. I'm like, God, I can do this, I can do this. And I'm just a super Christian at this moment. I'm like freaking David. I'm just I'm going. And I get to the dune finally, and my water's done, my battery's flat. It's been an hour and something. The sun is at its highest, it's 1 o'clock, in the day, and I missed lunch already. I was and so then I take my t-shirt, of course, and I wrap it around my head.
Of course.
And then I was like, you can't go straight up, when you climb a dune, you have to go zigzag. Because if you go straight up, the sand gets overwhelming, and you can when you put your foot
is
down.
that a fact? It's
When you put your foot down, I only figured out then. This is the first time.
Man versus wild.
And then I like to share this part because it was really dramatic, and those dramatic spiritual moments that you have with God alone. And I was like, God, this dune is so big, and God is this giants in your life that you can face. And I was like, if I can conquer this dune, but literally I thought I was gonna die. When I got and the sand is so hot. It's so hot, but it was so beautiful. And and then that's not when I got lost. when I got lost is when I was on my way back. So like when I got back, I was like, oh snap, I don't know which direction I have to go in. Like I don't know which way I came. Like I always feel really confident in the moment, but afterwards I'm like, oh no, I'm actually lost right here. And it was actually the cattle that that I could just find my way back because the cattle was walking like far off in the distance. But that's only like after 15 minutes of being lost and frantic and thinking I'm gonna die from like hyperventilation, like lack of moist. But yeah, it was crazy.
That car, it broke with us endless times in the most like crazy situations. One time it broke with us in a hallway, like like interstate like roads. So we were in the middle of nowhere. And I have a friend that he was like very crafty, like Yako, he gets like two
Shout out to
strings and he
Yaku,
builds
shout out
a
to
robot. Yeah, so I had a friend like that, and then it broke with us, and none of us we were like mechanics or anything, and he got outside of the combi, and then he was only on his underwears. He went under the combi. He got like a little drum thing, and then he tied a string because it was a string that goes from the clutch, and something like that broke.
Oh man.
So he figured out it was raining and dark, and he was on his underwear under the car. He figured out a way to make that string work.
Connect.
So we drove another like 200 k's
Yo.
with the car like that.
Yo.
It was like
Man.
amazing. And we were freaking out in the car. We were like, man, they could just come here and rob us and kill us. And we don't know what's going on, And he's outside, he's under the car, and I'm with the flashlight, and the rain.
Guys.
Speaking of pans, I got peed on by a baby that I was feeding, and then I had to hand wash it, and then I put it on the line, and it got stolen with my underwear. So my host had to drive me to the nearest market to get me new underwear.
Oh no.
That was in Vietnam, in a convent.
In a convent. So the nuns stole your...
No, it was the orphans. The orphans stole it.
Oh man.
It wasn't.
I also have a pants one. This is my outreach,
Oh, you have a
and
pants one.
and we were in Zambia. This was like towards the end of this time in Zambia. We're there for I think about a month, and we're playing with these kids at an orphanage. This specific day was pretty cold, and I was wearing like the only pair of pants that I had for the 6 months of my DTS. I had one pair of pants, and like it fit me pretty well. I wouldn't. It was like somewhat tight, and I was playing with these kids for like the whole morning. And I would come in contact with the kids and go talk to the teachers, and like we're just hanging out at this orphanage that had a school in it as well. And at one point I came up to a teacher and she was like super awkward, and I was like, what's going on? And I went up to another one and to talk to him, and like he was also really awkward, and I was like, man, something's really like wrong. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And the kids are laughing at me and they're like pointing at me in the distance, and some come up behind me and like poke me. And then I was like, what's going on? And then eventually one boy, like after, I don't know, a good hour playing with these kids, one boy comes to me and he's like, he points behind me, and I was like, what's going on? So I take my phone and I stretch it out behind, like turn on the selfie screen, stretch it out behind, and I just see like my whole pants is torn at the back. And like in this part of Zambia, like you don't even show your legs. Like, man, it was horrible.
And your butt was showing.
And for the rest of the day, we're gonna, this was like maybe like in early in the morning, and we'd still be there till like 4 o'clock. And I was like, oh man, this is, then I had to like, I was wearing, I had like a coat on, and then I just had to wear a coat around my waist, and the kids would just come around me. But I have this really cool photo, because the moment that I went to check with my selfie camera, I snapped a photo, and all these kids are looking at the same time. So it's a really cool photo of me with a torn butt.
Post it on your story so
Yeah.
we can go there and check.
Yeah, that sounds like a
Yeah.
nice restaurant kind of vibe.
I, by accident, ate dog.
What? What do you mean?
That does happen.
Okay, so...
Like a
Namibia.
yeah, in Namibia.
He was in Namibia?
So like we're in this village, Ovitoto, right?
Ovitoto.
And Burger, shout out to Burger, but I know you're not watching this, Burger.
Of course not.
But Burger was with me, and who else? I think Cody also. And we built in this house for this lady and her son and a daughter, and they babies. And so out of their kind hearts, and they come and they bring us this food, and it was really like sweet. It was really like, wow, this is all they can give us, and that's they're gonna give us. And in the moment, it was like, okay, like it was the soggy wet bread, like dough. It was like, okay, cool. And then there was this like red, dried out meat that tasted like biltong, but it was like a bit moist, but like dry. And I was like, wow, okay, what? This is interesting. And like, I turned, like, one of us turned to the boy and like, what was that? And he points to the door. He points to the door. And I was like, I've never seen meat this red before. Like, and I was like, there's no turkeys running around here. No. There's no guinea fowls.
Cody's saying that he remembers.
No.
It says you think so low
Oh,
of
he
it.
say that.
Picture.
We're gonna end with Sam showing the picture to
Yes.
you guys of the
Bye.
pants.
Bye.
Bye everyone. That's an amazing
Oh my
photo.
gosh.
I love that. I really love that.
in the moment. I was like,
I love it.
and I looked up and they're all there. So
Oh my goodness, guys. I don't know if you're following the chat. Everyone's going
know.
crazy. So here, we have Joshua Mumu.
Welcome,
Man,
Josh.
Joshua,
Yo,
we miss you,
shout
my
out.
bro. Oh my goodness. I almost cried here when I saw your name, bro. We miss you so much. So he says here, in my culture, we don't have surnames. Go deal with that. They don't have surnames. So it's Joshua, that's it. It's Mugisha, his name. And beautiful women are called cows. Okay, we're not gonna comment on that, right? Yeah, beautiful women are called cows. On my DTS, someone's compared a beautiful girl to a cow also,
cow.
and that was very offensive.
Like, give a bunch of circles. Like,
It said that father must eat first at the table. Wow, the fathers
So
are the
do you,
adults.
Joshua? Question to you: do you sit and like watch your fathers eat, and then like,
And then your saliva
Yeah.
goes like.
Shame. Look at Sinead. She was like, Josh, oh, Mumu, I love you. And I hope that I am a cow.
Yeah, Danny asked here on the chat, and it's important to point that. So, Josué Mugisha, Joshua, he's from Burundi. That's a country in Africa, okay? So, that's where he's talking. And he says that, Sinead, you're definitely a cow. Don't sue us, please. It's in Burundi, Burundian culture, okay?
yeah, that worldview.
Yeah.
That's true.
Listen to this one from a white South African, Bianca. She says, when a guy at a club asks you at 1 a.m. if you want to go to his house to braai, he actually wants to braai. He's talking about braai. It's braai.
he's not joking.
No, Hannes.
We don't have codes like Netflix and chill. We braaiing. Like we serious.
Yeah. If we brine,
We,
it's going
we're
down.
stopping by Spar Tops on the way. We're buying the wood, the firelighters.
There you go.
That's commitment.
Yeah, you guys
Okay.
are.
Hey guys, someone is asking Jen to explain what a beef jerky is.
Guys, quit asking me about meat.
Beef
Okay,
jerky
in movies,
versus biltong.
Beef jerky. Listen, I've never had biltong because
She's
ever
vegan,
since I've
guys.
been coming to South Africa, I've been vegan. So, but I guess it's like soft because in in the States, beef jerky is like dried meat, but it's really tough. Like you bite into it, you like have to like rip, and it's really chewy. Like you have to chew for a while. It's super dried, salted. Like people, it originated when people had to preserve meat,
Oh.
so they would like salt and dry meat like in the sun, you know. And so it kind of started that way. And you can make different flavors. Like there's teriyaki, there's peppercorn, there's like all these different flavors.
It's like a cousin of
It's
biltong.
a cousin of
Biltong's
biltong.
cousin.
But biltong is
Yeah.
like this bigger, like buffer, like more
Cousin.
angry cousin. Like,
Guys,
And we like the biltong to still be a bit moist.
Yeah.
So, and there must be like a piece of fat with it.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And that spice, that
And spice.
Man,
Yeah.
I can't imagine my life without biltong. Really,
That's
like
true.
that really, it just became part of me. You know, like tacos in America.
yeah.
It's like biltong in my life.
chili one,
It just
the chili
became-
one with like olive oil.
Man, I love every
Biltong is an art.
put olive oil
Biltong
on
is
your
really
biltong.
art.
I
It's-
buy
Do you
Okay.
actually have something similar to tailgating?
Yeah.
When you like go to like a high school and you watch rugby on Saturdays, you go with your bakkie, you load the braai on the back of the bakkie. Then you drive to the rugby field.
That's
You go park
That's
on
the
the
thing.
side. You go park on the side of the rugby field. You light your fire on your bakkie. You busy there braaiing. Everyone's
Not
braaiing. It's like 20
dangerous at all.
bakkies in a row.
Dude,
Just everyone braaiing.
I've never seen this.
can you explain
Never.
that feeling of a Saturday watching rugby like at your school? Like
Bro, it's the best.
it's
Honestly,
the best feeling, huh?
Like, I mean, usually I played rugby,
Yeah.
but like afterwards I went there
To
like
go
a
watch
few
it.
times, and it's dope. There's like a whole vibe.
Dude,
It's
I-
just lit.
it's a vibe. It's
Yeah,
like
it's a
you
vibe.
can't like that Saturday, like South African kids know this. Like waking up Saturday for sports days, you know, like going to other school or playing hockey like in the cold or any sport like rugby in the cold. Like it's a vibe.
It's weird because it's like it's very hype, but also at the same time super chill.
Yeah.
The younger generation. How was your first what was your first contact?
I don't even know though. I don't at all. I'm trying to think now.
It just happened.
It just happened.
You like were born, and then when you grew up, your dad gave you an iPad or a phone or
Did you
something,
ever have
and
to,
then
like,
you were
do
online, right?
research? Yeah.
No, I mean I remember playing on my dad's phone. But
There
it
you
was
go.
one of those. It was one of those like really old iPhones,
Yeah.
still with the round cover.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Oh, I love those.
I remember playing games on those. Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah. So you see, the difference. I think the basic difference there is that some of us we were born, it was not there, so we saw it kind of coming. Some of us, it's established, so it's like it's part of life. Internet today is like electricity. It gotta be there.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
like it's like
yeah.
It's a must.
right in Brazil.
My first phone.
The first phone you got.
I had my mom's Nokia, but it was just like she's not using it, so I took it and now it's mine, you know. And then I remember just playing. There was only one song, but it wasn't even a song. It was,
Yeah,
just,
that's
it was
like
kind of like a
ringtone.
ringtone.
Crazy frog, do you remember that?
All right, Lydia.
I like Pinterest a lot. I mean, like I want to be an architect and I want to make my own house. So I have a huge house board with full of like cool swimming pools and like a cool window, you know.
That's dope.
I have so many things
What's
like
what's
that.
your name
Are
on
you gonna-
Pinterest so people can follow you?
Don't.
Are you gonna be like those environmental archaeologists, like where
Architects.
architects? Sorry, like where you like where you use material for like,
I
or is
don't
it just like
know.
you just like different type of architecture?
I like the crazy houses, like those big ones. But then there's like something really quirky about it, like.
Yeah.
I don't know, like the swimming pool's right next to the living room where they watch TV or something. You know, like something like that.
That's
I
cool.
I wanna make houses like that because it's just so much fun. I also like what's it called? I have this game that's kind of like Candy Crush
Yeah.
all the time. I think I'm on level like I'm over 1,000 now.
Whoa!
Oh. Yeah, there was a time where my wife was very addicted
Yo,
to Candy
Lorena
Crush.
is addicted. Yo,
I don't think she's playing anymore.
Candy Crush. She was like, I'm just gonna start again because I was playing the other day. She was like, I'm gonna start again. Like, I think, okay, maybe
Did
I'm
she
being a
finish
little
it?
bit dramatic.
Is there an end
But
to
like
the
2
game?
days after, she was like, oh, I'm like level 400 something.
And another question that I have here is, how has pop culture influenced the church along the years, throughout the years, and how has the church influenced pop culture? So we're gonna discuss a little bit about that. So how has pop culture influenced the church throughout the years? How have we seen that? We've been talking some cool things about this here, so let's see what we get. Yeah.
Maybe I can kickstart this one, but I think a few years ago, maybe 40 years ago, the church would be very resistant in allowing pop culture to influence itself.
Yeah.
But nowadays, I think there is more acceptance. If you go to a church, some churches, and you go maybe to a club, there's lots of similarities, you know. So
Sure.
I think, yeah, we're changing in that. I think we allowing the pop culture speak to us, and we're embracing it a little bit easier than before. Yeah, that's my.
Yeah.
But it's true. We were speaking just before we went live that the church always took long to accept pop culture, and usually in the past was 20 years until the church embraced something that was happening out there. Like the hippies, it started in the 60s, like wearing jeans and clapping hands in church, and we adopted it like in the 80s.
Yo, that's 20
And-
years. That's
Yes.
your
It's
time in YWAM.
constantly
You
More or
finally
less.
caught up.
more or less, yeah.
Yeah, you know, we were talking also about music, you know, and how music changed so much. And I remember back in the 90s. Yeah, I think back in the 90s there was a movement of using sacred music, kind of like Gregorian sing,
Hymns.
into pop music. So that was like a Gregorian sound, and then with a tuks, tuks, tuk behind, you know, and that was super cool. And so that was like kind of church music, you know, kind of mixed up. And then when we get to today, which is our church's music style, it's probably indie rock. It's progressive indie rock.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and even if your church doesn't want to say it's not, if they play Bethel and Hillsong, they're playing
That's
indie
true.
progressive,
Like
progressive indie rock.
When we were growing in the 80s, it was very hard to be cool.
Exactly.
So now is
So now you hear a new song, a new gospel album that was released, and you can easily mistake it by like, oh, is that Coldplay? Is that
Yeah.
the new U2 album? And it's Bethel, you know, or it's Hillsong. I don't want to just pick on Bethel. I like Bethel, but I mean, it's you know, it's Elevation. You know, it's all kind of that progressive sound, and it took what
20 years.
U2
About 20
and
years,
Coldplay,
yeah.
they're at least 20-year-old
That's true,
bands,
that's true.
which came out with those, you know, like
2003 album is like on par.
exactly. So the other way around, what do you guys think? How has the church influenced pop culture? Maybe Douglas can start up with that one.
We just looked up the university.
Since they say with your
Yeah.
mustache you look
Yeah, that was a good
8 years
thing.
wiser.
Yeah,
We're
the
gonna hold to your
university.
standards.
we were trying to think how church has influenced the pop culture, but I think we came to the conclusion, and it would be nice to hear from you guys, that pop culture is actually influencing more the church than the other way around. But in the olden times, like church was opening universities, and I think up to today, the top 10 universities in the world are Christians.
Yo.
And
That's beautiful.
but I think we're following behind. I think pop culture is going ahead of us, and many times they are discipling us from the church, you know, and not the other way around. So that's my
There was
My
that
thought.
sentence that we heard, I think in LTS, it's like, if the church is not busy influencing the culture is busy influencing the church. Would you say
I
that
think
that's
so,
Yeah,
That's
church
true.
doesn't decide.
Me too.
Madiro posted that she doesn't like online church. I know that, Madiros. I'm so sorry.
I'm
But
sorry, my
if we-
dear.
we're almost there.
If we think of it, this is the only time the church is up to date with what's going on.
That's the one.
The joke
It
of
took-
the podcast.
It took a
today.
virus for us to catch up.
People,
How relevant are you?
people are doing the same thing out there in the world, in Hollywood, everywhere. It's
Finally
Zoom.
catch
There's
up.
no other. No, so what is a DTS, Liz?
Okay, so let's start with the DTS. What are those letters? What do they mean? So they mean discipleship training school. So DTS is a 6 months school, and it's completely connected to who we are as a missionary organization. So our motto, our sentence, our slogan is to know God and to make Him know. So the first 3 months we are knowing God, and the other 3 months, which you call practical or outreach, we are making Him know. So in the beginning of the school, you know more, you learn more about God, more about yourself, more about community around you, and how to in a theoretic way, yes, how to apply love. And in the other 3 months, then you apply this love, which is to make God known through your actions, through your prayers, through blessing the community that you are in. So it's pretty much 6 months school, and you have 2 phases. Yes.
Very cool. So if I if I want to do a DTS, what do I do? Where do I go? Well, what do I go to Google and put a DTS? What do I do? What did you do?
Okay, I think the common answer here, it will be, sometimes we have DTSs with like focus in something. So let's say you are a person that is really into sports or really into arts. So then you can just put on Google DTS arts. And so it happens to happen that we actually have an arts DTS here in our base. So Google is gonna show you a few DTSs that you can be part. They're focused in that. So you can click in the website and just apply or get in contact with someone in the base, and they can email you, or sometimes they even call you. It depends. But yeah, Google it, put what you want. If you have any specific, if you don't have any specific subject or any specific track,
Yeah.
just Google it.
And I would say the best part about the DTS is that you have absolutely no requirements to meet to do the school. You don't need to have a degree or something. You don't even need to have finished high school.
That's true.
Which is something awesome. And so
You
it's
just need
open
to be
for
alive.
everyone. So if you know friends or family that want to do something and that are interested in living a life that models Christ and the journey of discipleship, it's something really awesome.
Cool. So so let's talk a little bit about DTS, right? So we spoke. So every time you guys hear on this podcast the word DTS, that's 3 letters. It's the Discipleship Training School. It's basically the entrance for get involved with YWAM. It's through a DTS. Right after our DTS, so someone mentioned, I don't remember who, but someone mentioned that the DTS, I think Sam mentioned, that the DTS has no really strong prerequisites, like requirements for you to join the DTS. So pretty much anybody can. And what happens is that usually we will get people that they're straight out of conversion even, or people that are that have been in church but not really involved, and then they feel God's calling them to do a DTS and they come. So right after DTS, some of us here, or most of us here, we did, or all of us here, you did BC also? No, you not yet. Not yet. Okay, so almost all of us here, we've done a school that's called the Bible Core Course.
What's up?
So
Best school ever.
a Bible Core Course is a Bible school that you can do right after your DTS. For that one, DTS is required,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So you need to do a DTS first, but after that, then it is a introduction of God's word and how to study and how to research God's word in a way that, wow, it's gonna blow your mind. I'm not really how can I say equipped to explain in depth that school, but we have Veronica with us, and she's gonna. Veronica, what is the BCC?
Yes,
The ex-BCC all about? Tell us.
What is it all about?
Yeah. So in one sentence, which I'll unpack a bit, the BCC is a 12-week intensive course that equips people with tools to study the Bible inductively and in context for themselves. So that's just a little bit in a nutshell. Maybe just to talk about some of those words a little bit and unpack it. Firstly, to say it's an intensive course. I think that's something that students are often shocked by when they arrive at the BCC. And no matter how much we try to encourage or prepare people, it always seems like a shock that there's self-study to do, that there's a lot of right, guys?
Yes.
There's a lot of.
But it's awesome. It's good. I love it.
Yeah,
there
we did.
But the point of.
Sorry, Veronica, you can continue. We have a little delay, so sometimes we jump into Veronica when she's talking. Forgive me.
The point of the school is to empower you with tools to be able to study the Bible by yourself. And that also means that answers or questions that you have about Scripture aren't spoon-fed to you necessarily. And I think it's quite common also in a BCC class that you might ask a question and the teacher who's maybe supposed or seen as the expert even on that particular book, will say, "That's a great question. I'm not sure. Why don't you do a build on it yourself?" And the point being here is that the BCC gives you tools to engage with Scripture for yourself, to make those discoveries for yourself, and to have that personal encounter that ends up sitting with you as you go on. Not just something that someone else has spent time chewing through the Scripture and come up with, and you're kind of eating secondary food, but really giving you those tools to wrestle and sit with Scripture for yourself.
That's true.
You know, we did a little survey among ourselves here in the beginning, and I think everybody agrees here that obviously the DTS is a requirement, but after the DTS, and we have done some schools in YWAM, some of us here, many schools in YWAM, and BCC, the ex-BCC, was rated the best one that we could do.
Ex-BCC.
So it's a Bible training that you can do right after your DTS. And like Veronica said, that training, the way you are taught to look into the Bible, it's going to change your approach. You know, you're not going to read the Bible the same way. Again, we have Berger. His comment here is the same of all of us. BCC changed my life more than DTS. Best 3 months of my life.
Yeah.
So it's the Word of God in raw, right? It's like you see it for what it is, and that word's powerful. So it gotta change your life. So what was your guys' experience? Let us know.
And yeah, so Junior was from the church for a long time. And
Was he a real Christian?
I'm gonna get in trouble. He was a real Christian. He just liked dating a lot.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
Like, I think he dated basically every girl in the church.
Yo, Julia.
Was there. Yes. Yeah. He knows I'm not lying. Oh my gosh, he's gonna start like on the chat like crazy. Okay, so yeah, but he dated a lot of girls in church. I mean, very young. Then,
Of
He was like
course.
16, 17.
I believe that something that helped me as a single person was really coming to lay down that desire of wanting to get married. Like, Lord, I give it to you. You will give me the husband when you see that I'm ready. You will give me the husband in your time. And that really gave me a lot of freedom. Because it can really steal away your time. Because I believe singleness, it's a blessing as much as being married is a blessing.
Yeah.
It's a season that will never come back again.
Yes.
Exactly.
You know, I remember.
I always say you can be divorced, God forbid. You can be a widow, but you can never be single again.
Of course.
Ever.
So, yeah, and for me,
Ouch, that's true.
yeah.
Letting that sink
hard
in.
now.
Yes.
It's hard now. Huh?
Yeah. And, thinking about when Calvin proposed to me, I told him that I want to pray. I want to pray first. And for me, while I was
Wait,
praying,
you didn't say yes right away?
no.
Oh my gosh, that's
Oh
what
my
was his
God.
Keep him on his toes.
Yes.
Oh my
So
gosh.
Brian was like the first.
Sorry. I feel for you now.
Brian asked me, he was like, do you want to marry him? I was like, oh my gosh, is that true? Are you doing this right now? I was like, woman, the answer. It was right away by Kelvin. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, because for me, and I felt like I wanted to be single for some few weeks before I can say yes. Because I don't know, in my head I was like, because once I say yes, I'm not gonna turn back again.
That's true.
So yeah.
Michaela is saying, Lucy, you savage.
Yeah, I think there is something about us specifically as women that, at least for me, I'm going to speak from my personal point of view. But from my experience, there is a lot of expectation put onto us, and like when you're single, when you're gonna get married, and once you get married, like, okay, when you're gonna get kids, you know, and once you get the first kid, when you're gonna get the next kid, you know, and and you have 2 boys, when is the girl coming? You know, it's like there is always something else, you know.
That's so
like
true.
It's almost like there's this constant, you know, pressure that you need to perform, or you need. There are things that are expected from you, and I mean, we're all different, you know. And I really feel like there is this expectation that a woman should know how to cook, and a woman needs to know how to do this. And I know a lot of it's cultural as well, but there is a lot of things that it's kind of general, you know, and like you were expected to do that, you know. And in missions there is a lot of that baggage that comes with.
That's true.
You know,
that's true.
And you need to cope with that, you know. Like I've experienced YWAM in 2 different countries, here and back home in Brazil. So it's 2 completely different setups, but I've seen, you know, like there is this bubble, you know. That's why I asked about the single stuff, because like we do have this value in YWAM that is like we value families. So I feel sometimes that we do have like a net of protection and, you know, care for the married woman, especially the ones with kids, you know, which is great. I mean, I benefit from that, and it's amazing, and I think we should do that. But I sometimes I feel like, do we have something else, something like that, at least that we look into that for the single stuff as well, the woman, you know, like, you know, you also get your periods. You also get days that you like, if you like, you don't want to go out of bed, or you're not feeling well, you have PMS. Come on, girls, we're talking. You know,
it's true.
It's a girls' talk, you know. So so sometimes I just feel like there is this little bit. There's this difference. I understand, you know, and our times are completely different. So it's very easy for me to look at Jen, for instance, you know, like, you're single, you have all the time of the world, you don't know what to be tired. You don't have kids.
We hear this all the time.
Yes. You don't have no kids? You don't know what to be tired. You know nothing, Jon Snow.
Your body's gonna get used to it.
Yeah. So there's this like the worst is to come. You know, like there's that. You know,
That's
like
it's true. You hear it all the time.
It's like you haven't seen anything. You know, so I think that is so bad.
Sorry, honey. I think that's why I don't want to have kids.
Shame.
And I think that's why it's so hard to have boundaries, especially as especially as a single woman in missions, because we're always accessible, you know, like here on this base, we all live, 20 people in one dorm. We're always available. People can come to our door, say, oh, you must have nothing going on. Come help me. Or like, and then, I'm not going to compare that to having kids, but like things like there is a separation, married families get better housing.
Yeah,
get
that's so
better
true.
Opportunities,
That's so true.
Nicer, like, there's benefits.
That's true.
And then, you're single, you're fine. You can all live together in this cockroach infested,
Yeah,
thing.
you can sleep anywhere.
Yeah, it's fine. You're young, you're single. You have no worries, which just isn't true. Like,
That's
we all
not
have
true at all.
worries. We all have things that are going on. And then, of course, because we don't have kids, or maybe we're not married yet, then there's no question to anything else going on in our lives. Like, maybe we have stuff going on back home. Maybe we have, certain things that, like, we're walking through that just aren't even part of the conversation, because it's not as noticeable as, like, oh, my kids are crying, behind me, feed me,
Yeah.
So as a woman not yet married, not yet having kids, I'm expected to be always on, always ready to go, always ready to help. And I would love to. Like, I'm not saying,
Yeah, you
leave me
don't
alone.
want to do that.
But there is a separation. It's just kind of natural in the structure
Respecting the
of our mission.
boundaries.
Yeah. And that's why for me it's so important to have boundaries. It's so important to say, actually no, like, this is my day off. I'm gonna go off and do things, and really try not to feel guilty. Like, we spoke just like us before we were live about like going out and spending money going and getting coffee with your
Yeah.
friends and not feeling guilty about it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to feel guilty that I'm enjoying myself because there's work to be done back at the base, or because, you know, there's an outreach that you could be in, or a community that you could be serving. I don't want to feel guilty for that, but sometimes I do because, you know, the work is never done. You know?
Yeah.
But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
And that's the sweet spot, because we live in our work. And like psychologically speaking, that's a lot to cope with.
Yeah.
You're always like you're married. So even when you go home, there's no way that you can like fully unplug. You know, say, okay, now we're not going to talk about work, because you live in your work.
Or you work with your spouse.
Or even you guys, like if you're single, like you still live in your work. So people are going to talk about this. Like you don't, it's kind of rare when we have something outside here. You know, like when you, I don't know, when you go for swimming in a gym, or you just do like yoga with different people, like it's kind of rare because we live here. It's like our life 24/7.
Yeah.
The separation
It's
is so
community life. It can be a toll.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, it just,
on your life.
you always feel it, even if you don't notice until you leave. Like today I went out with my best friend. We went for a walk like by the mountains, and I just thought like, oh, okay, now I'm just Jen now. I'm not like YWAMer Jen or missionary like on base doing this or that. I'm just me.
All
I'm
these
out.
labels.
Yeah, like
Exactly.
it all just kind of goes away, and I was able to just enjoy this walk with my friend and like not have that pressure. And then when you come back, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm a YWAMer. I'm back on base. This is this role that I fill in now. Not that it's a bad thing. It's just always there, you know?
Guys, thank you very much for like keeping up with us. Do you have any like final words from this women mission that you want to, I don't know, any final advice or something that you want to add to our podcast?
Just do it. If
Just
God
do it.
says to do something, just do
Just
it.
do it.
No matter if it looks crazy in the moment,
Nike.
no matter
Just
if
do
you're
it.
broke and on the side of the road, like, God, what do I do next? Like, just go for it. It's so worth it. You get to have these amazing experiences and work with powerhouse women like this
That's
in
true.
random places in the world. It's absolutely worth it. And
It's so worth it.
there's nothing like it. I wouldn't trade my life in missions for
Me neither.
anything else in the world.
Me neither. And
And
that's
you are the one that's been there the longest.
yeah,
since
that's
you were
true.
born.
That's so true. 31 years in the making.
Yeah, but I think it's amazing. Yeah, if I can leave a token there, it's just stop comparing yourself. You know, don't compare yourself to others, and don't compare others to you. You know, and you know, yeah, put your expectations in God and just trust Him. You know, He has amazing things for you.
All right. Daniel, you're so quiet, my bro. Are you tired? Dennis
You
is
know,
studying
he
a
knows
lot.
the weight now of being here. Huh?
Wait, I figured I'm studying it.
Danny, come close to your mic and tell us what was your journey with this podcast
See,
since
guys,
we started.
I was
With levels.
there behind the screen. I was in the chats, guys, there next to Junior. And then that one time when no girls came, I made my appearance right next to Junior on that seat.
No, wait. Before that, you were the sign guy.
Sign.
Oh yeah, I had the
Yes.
sign on Instagram, guys. The sign guy that we're live on YouTube now. And then so it's like now I'm here. We just first class now. So if I there when I was in the comments, it's economy. You got business class there, and then you have first class. I'm just waiting for the food and the wine and the community to come this way. But yeah,
You have to like make your way to here.
man,
to the
it starts. You guys have to start somewhere.
It's a humble build up.
Dylan said here, Daniel knows now how it feels to carry a show because like you've been through all the stages.
Oh my gosh.
Welcome, Daniel. You are so welcome.
This time I'm listening to you guys, not delayed. You know, like on the thing, like you hear the
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
And then like if Samuel's laughing on the stage, then I only get it later. Oh my god.
It's true. Sometimes he would be sitting here, and then like 30 seconds after, then he starts laughing. I'm like, why is Danny laughing? And I forget that because he's monitoring our audio, so he gets it late.
But
Aw,
it
thank
definitely
you.
is a classic promotion because he started off with a lot of work.
Yeah.
He was doing real work behind the
Yeah.
scenes,
Yes.
guys. He was monitoring our audio, and
Oh, by the way,
it takes quite a bit. To
he
get
was
this.
ready to delete your comments should you ever say
Yes.
anything wrong.
Anything. He would
The
delete.
moderator. Daniel is our
Yeah.
moderator in there.
And now he's doing nothing. He's just chilling here. So he's the boss now.
No, like
Nice.
like I'm like now, and then my fingers are so still now. So I'm like,
Used to typing.
I'm typing now.
So that's a highlight there. The progression of Daniel's.
I love the song. Bling,
I know it's
bling,
so chill.
bling, 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 bling.